risk is hedged to the maximum time. So over to you, ma'am, please. Welcome to this
Thank you,
webinar, please. Thank
Saras.
you.
Friends, a very good morning to all of you. I welcome and thank you all for coming on today's webinar. And friends, we'll talk about on various aspects and I would say nuances which are a part of starting your process of buying a business. So Franchise India is Start Your Own Business Specialist, and the session is about starting your own business. And we as a company, we are a 25-year-old enterprise, and 25 years back, I remember, when we started the company, we had a big, obviously, a demand from people who wanted to start the business, but relatively not too much of awareness or information, I would say, investors had that point in time. And also, the business buyer was not very informed. Today, when I come on these webinars, I meet investors, I realize that people are asking the right questions and a very evolved buyer group, right? So that's what my request also to all of you would be. This session is all about how we can work in helping you start a business. Any questions you have with respect to that in your mind, any specific industry, category, investment, opportunities that you want to discuss, you can all write in the Q&A box and make the session interactive. I'd like to answer as many questions as I can as we take you through the next 40 odd minutes on this webinar. So friends, we are an investor centric and a franchise focused company, and this was the very purpose why Franchise India was built. We wanted to make every Indian self-reliant through entrepreneurship. And democratization of entrepreneurship is something that has been largely the focus at Franchise India. So which means that we want to make entrepreneurship accessible to everyone. And, as a part of our growing up years, and I'm sure with you and maybe generations before, starting a business was limited to a very small community of businessmen, and their future generations were all involved in business. Somebody who was doing a job, did a job, and the future generations were all getting into jobs. And maybe a government job that point in time was the highest conscious thought, I would say, one could think or aspire for. But all this I see has changed in the last 15 odd years largely. And when I even look at smaller cities in India don't have high paying job opportunities, right? So if somebody wants to look at a job or take up a job in a smaller city, in most probabilities, they will shift to the closest bigger cities. People would come to cities like Delhi, Bombay, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and a lot of, today, immigrant crowd from other smaller cities across that state would come to bigger cities. So the job opportunity in smaller cities is something which is, again, a big dearth. And franchising comes as a big rescue. If you look at today's startup ecosystem also, 49% of startups today which are coming and starting up the business, they're largely coming from tier 2 and tier 3 location cities, which also presents a very big validation of the potential of entrepreneurship. And equally, I would say the spirit of entrepreneurship, which sits in a nation like India. And India has been fondly called and known as a shopkeeper nation, which means that we have every home today, which is an aspiration of starting, owning a business at some point of time in their life. So we realized at Franchise India, this was a need with maybe every home. People wanted to do that, but they didn't have any avenues. They didn't have any information. And that's what our platform at Franchise India has been actually doing in the last 2.5 or decades, where we, help prospective franchisees or entrepreneurs like yourself to research various opportunities. One. Second, we also ensure that you evaluate from the various options, because there are many opportunities, brands, industries that you would see the options come from. But how do you evaluate these options is something that our platform, our company works to maybe narrow down. And third, which is something very, very big, is education, or I would say your own learning, so that you are equipped to take the right decision. So all are three aspects that we have been working very, very closely. So in these many years, we worked with billions of business buyers who have reached out to us on our platform, including our magazine, the exhibitions, and they have research opportunities from maybe a small investment of a unit franchisee to a multi-unit franchisee, master franchisees of international companies. And at the same time, I would also say we also had the privilege of working directly, with nearly 1 lakh people, investors, so who came and said, we saw a lot of options on the website, maybe on the exhibitions, in the magazines, but is there a way that you can guide us, what is right? So we worked with nearly 1 lakh people in the last, I would say, 10 odd years, where we gave them guided solutions. We combined our knowledge on the industry. We brought in our expertise of, I would say, our knowledge base, our many years of experience, our knowledge of that particular industry, I would say, the demographics. And based on that, we handheld them to the entire process of buying a business. We also understand buying a business is something, or entrepreneur journey is something which is not very easy. It requires a lot of planning, timelines, understanding of, how to get started and how to even sustain in the business. It is not something that we do maybe every year as a decision, right? It might be once in a lifetime opportunity or a decision for you. So as a consultant also, Franchise India, we carry a big responsibility of helping business buyers like you to take a right information, right and informed decision of buying a business. At Franchise India, we are a very integrated company. Today, as I speak, we have a presence in about 96 plus cities in India, where we have local advisors, local team consultants who come with an experience of my channel partners today who work with me across India exclusively for Franchise India. They come with an experience of more than 15, 20 years of running either their own consultancy or working with, that mid-management, top management in bigger corporates, top companies in the country. And these are the people who are available to work with you in your respective cities. So we understand also, this is a decision which is one time for you, or maybe twice in your lifetime. So it is important that we bring in and equip you with the right information. So while it is difficult, sometimes it looks like to bring accurate, or absolute, accuracy in the information or the perfect fitment, kya business aapke liye theek hai. But what we do is, we take a very holistic approach in terms of what choice of brand you should choose. And we take into consideration financial terms, your expectation from that business, and including the cash flows that you need, including your initial investment in the business, operating expenses. And most importantly, what we do is we put a very big emphasis on how, as a business buyer, as a business owner or a franchisee, as we call it, we can work with you to reduce the risk in the investment, which is obviously a mix of a lot of other things, support from the company, exit terms, legal terms. So all that is something that we do a research-based approach. And we bring a very non-biased approach when we work with business buyers like you. And we never base our recommendation based on what I like personally. And while we have worked with thousands of companies, the website of Franchise India has nearly 16,000 companies listed on the website, but you will not find us endorsing any specific company. So while we equip you with the information, but we don't decide for you, right? So decision making is something that lies with you, but my responsibility as a consultant is to equip you with the information, share, and help you narrow down what opportunities might be right. So friends, I'll request again, let's make this session interactive, and I'll have a few questions that I'd like to ask you. And if you can write that in the Q&A box, I'll be more than happy to answer that. And my first question, friends, to all of you would be, any decision that we're taking in our life, we have a timeline in our mind. हमेशा एक timeline होता है कि हमने कब शुरू करना है. And based on that timeline, we start working backwards. So what is that timeline for you? आप कितने time में business शुरू करना चाहते हैं? It can be 15, because every time I do these webinars and speak to investors, I realize some of them have already progressed almost 60%. कई बार लोग already progress कर चुके होते हैं क्या industry करनी है. They've researched some brands, but they want somebody who can second, them with that information. So आपका timeline क्या है? 15 दिन है, 1 महीना है, 2 महीना है, 3 महीना? If you can put that in a Q&A box, I'll read that out. Second would be, how many of you are already into running a business, या तो अपना खुद का business कर रहे हैं या आप एक franchise business कर रहे हैं? आप please लिखिए. Even if you're a professional and you're looking at starting a business, please also mention that. And third would be, if you have penned down any specific industry, say अगर आप food में interested हैं या retail में interested हैं या footwear, any specific category also अगर आप interested हैं, आप वो भी आप लिख सकते हैं. So keep writing, friends. I'll keep reading that out. Dr. Shrikantji, a very good morning to you. You're looking at time frame of 6 months to get started. We also have Mr. Pramod Yashrajji. You're looking at anything between 1 to 2 months, about 30 to 60 days is the time frame for you. Okay, and Shrikantji, आप biotech या healthcare में देख रहे हैं. This is a good industry, I would say, to get in. And healthcare, again, biotech, again, there are a lot of opportunities that you can consider, from, a pharmacy shop to starting a small clinic to maybe a dental clinic. So there are diverse opportunities in this segment, doctor, that we can work with you. If I know your location, maybe I'll also have my local team speak to you, meet with you, share some opportunities that can be relevant to you. And Ajitab ji, welcome. You're looking at starting in 30 to 90 days, 90 days time. 3 months is what you mentioned. And you're a professional and aspiring into coaching, teaching, and training. Great, Ajitab ji. This is a great industry, I would say. And when we started the year, we actually penned down 10 big industries which we told that would become big. And some of the companies which I think can be relevant for you is a company called Action Coach, Engage and Grow. These are international companies, the biggest executive coaching companies. And in fact, Franchise India also holds the rights of these companies for India and UAE. If you're keen to explore something like this, do let us know. I'll have somebody in our team who can perhaps discuss with you. Another opportunity, if something similar, we have recently launched the world's oldest, coaching brand for English language, which is Direct English. And this company is now planning to come to India. They are running in about 20 countries across the globe. But in this segment, we are initially looking at area development rights and gradually awarding unit franchisees. Great. Hyderabad. All right. But my experience is in distribution. That's okay, Ajitabji. A lot of people who come with even experience. So what we can do is we can maybe speak to understand what would be a great fitment. And we would be absolutely working with you to suggest. Pradeep ji, welcome. You're looking at automobile industry. You are coming with 20 years of experience, branded apparel garments. Great. And there can be many opportunities. We can again suggest you in this segment. And you're looking at something in Mohali. Wonderful. We have some retail fashion brands, including, we recently launched, I don't know what category in apparel or garments you would consider, but we work with some of the top brands in the country. And sometimes older companies, and I would say mature companies, might not have that opportunity because they're already present in, all premium malls, maybe 17 sector, maybe a brands present honge. So based on what is the gap in the market, we can work with you. So guys, you can keep writing in and I'll take as many questions as I can. In the meantime, I'll request Saras if we can put the presentation. So friends, what we'll do is, while I think because everybody comes with a very unique requirement based on what you want to invest, आपका location के हिसाब से, आपका investment के हिसाब से, profile experience, and that ideally would require about 30 minutes to maybe 45 minutes or even an hour, where I would request that you fix up an appointment with somebody in our team. I have a team in Chandigarh जो आपसे मिल सकती है. Hyderabad also have a very big team and maybe they can come and meet with you. कम से कम आधा पौना घंटा आप लगाइए उनके साथ to understand and brainstorm what actually can work out. And based on that, our teams would give you suggestions. So, in this particular, webinar, friends, we have tried to cover, how you should be equipped before even narrowing down. Some people industry karni, category karni, brand karna hai. But these are 5 assessment tools based on the experience that we've gathered over the last 25 odd years. We realize these are 5 things which should be taken into consideration when you want to start a business, which starts with first and foremost your own self-assessment. I see a lot of you talking about your experience, आप industry क्या interest क्या है. So वो self-assessment है आपका. आप क्या चीज आप कर सकते हैं. Second is your industry assessment, जिस industry में आप जाना चाहते हैं. Third is market, जिस market में खोलना चाहते हैं. Equally important because sometimes आप industry देखते हैं, market की क्या demand है, gap है, वो हम समझते नहीं है. So ये holistic approach है 5 assessment tools का, including the competition. अगर एक brand आपको समझ में आता है, उसका nearest peer कौन सा है, competition क्या है, कोई competitive edge उसके ऊपर है जो हमें लगता है कि benefit करेगा हमें. And lastly, the company that you have selected. So uska brand assessment is what we suggest that you should do. And I'll go in the further slide, the next slide, please, where we have, what we have done is we have further created 25 points under these 5 assessment tools. And बड़ा clearly, अगर आपको लगता है कि आपका score in 25 points में 20 points है, then the opportunity, because you have taken a holistic approach, then the opportunity selected is great, excellent as we call it. अगर आपका score 15 से 20 में है, it is good. But if your score is less than 20, less than 50, then we do not recommend you to take that particular opportunity. Maybe we go back and rework कहाँ पे हमने कम score किया. It could be the market itself. It could be a combination of 2 or 3 assessment tools. That could also be a reason. So we go back and work. And at Franchise India, while all this can be done by you, अगर आप खुद करना चाहते हैं आप कर सकते हैं, but it requires a lot of information, knowledge on the brands, opportunity care. That's where Franchise India comes in. And we also work with you in creating this right mix and help you narrow down on the opportunities. So, and I'll give you a brief on all these 25 points. So starting with self assessment, we talk first and foremost about the mindset and the entrepreneur mindset, which means that what does entrepreneurship mean to you? So this is a stage जहाँ पे आप दो goals की alignment बहुत जरूरी है. एक आपका life का goal क्या है and what do you expect from the business that you want to get in. So life goal alignment and the business goal alignment is something that you do as the very first step when you want to start a business. Second is, you have to have a financial goal. And when I say a financial goal has three dynamics, which has to be focused on. One dynamic is the timeline. कितने time में आपको वो return आपको चाहिए, right? So that is one dynamic you should write down. Second is what return that you expect from the investment. That is another dynamic. And third is what is the risk that you're willing to take for getting that return on the investment. So ये financial goal का एक rule है, which is a TRR rule as we call it. I'll explain you further. कोई भी asset में हम investment करते हैं. I'll do a mix of Hindi and English because I see some of audience, from South and who might want me to communicate in English. If you need to maybe even mention any specific language, friends, you can go ahead and do that. But I'll try and do a mix of both. So now explaining this further, any investment that we do in our lifetime, it only has three goals. One goal is safety. बहुत बड़ा return नहीं चाहिए, but जो भी मेरा पैसा है वो safe रहे, नहीं? वो एक goal हो सकता है. दूसरा है I need some income, small income from the business or the money which I want to invest in some asset. थर्ड मेरा गोल हो सकता है want to have a big growth. पैसा है उसको ऐसी जगह लगाना है जहाँ पे मेरी growth हो सके. I can have a maybe high return on that investment. Now when we have three fundamental goals that we have, इसका जो return है और risk है वो भी proportionate है. When I say I am looking at safety, I'm also saying I'm looking at a business which is low in risk, right? Risk कम होगा, risk अगर कम है तो उसका return भी कम होगा. ऐसा कोई equation नहीं होगा कि risk बहुत कम है but return बहुत high है. You might see a lot of communication, low risk, high return, lucrative business. ऐसी कोई भी communication अगर आती है, please question these companies. I personally feel in my experience of 25 years understanding working with companies, मैंने कोई low risk और high return business आज तक नहीं देखा है, right? Some obviously IP businesses हो सकते हैं, like one of our friends talked about coaching training business. यहाँ पे risk बहुत high नहीं होता because you yourself are the asset. ये return on time का business होता है. जितना time आप business में लगाएंगे उतना return आप expect कर सकते हैं. And typically अगर आपका 8 लाख 10 लाख 12 लाख का भी इन्वेस्टमेंट होता है, including taking a franchisee or Franchise India, for example. I have a channel partner model where anybody who comes with some kind of consultative background or marketing background, understanding of business, they can become or maybe they can send an application to become a franchisee of Franchise India. So, and this is a very small investment of 4.5 odd lakhs, but it's a return. I have a lot of my partners who are working with me for many years. Some of them have made almost about 50-60 lakhs of payout as their commission in 1 year or time, and some of them they didn't put so much of time, didn't get. So ये 4 लाख investment है, but your returns can be big. But कोई भी अगर आप business में आप invest करते हैं, अगर आप ये दोनों equation has to be proportionate. If your risk is high, your returns are also high. If your risk taking appetite is medium, then your returns are also medium. If your risk taking appetite is high, then your returns would also be high. And the same equation works in businesses also. आपका business है, franchisee है, जो भी आप शुरू करेंगे, उसमें ये equation हमेशा work out करती है. Third is you need to look at, what kind of capital investment you're looking and considering to put in. जहाँ पे हम हमेशा advise करते हैं तो बहुत बड़ा leverage नहीं करना है अपने आप को, बहुत बड़ा लोन नहीं लेना है. And especially if your investment is less than, I would say 40-50 lakhs के अंदर आपकी investment आती है, तब लोन हम हमेशा recommend करते हैं. बहुत ज़्यादा अपने आप को expose नहीं करें. Even if you want to bring in the right 50-50, it can be maybe a ratio which can be considered. But ideally, if you can even go beyond that, would be great, because your business also requires liquidity. पहले आपके 3 से 6 महीने बिजनेस को स्टेबलाइज करने में लगते हैं, वर्किंग कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट होती है. यू ऑल्सो इन्वेस्ट फर्दर इन मार्केटिंग, डेवलपिंग योर मार्केट, और आपका कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल इतना बड़ा हो जाता है क्योंकि लोन है आपका. सो समटाइम्स योर कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल कैन नॉट जस्टिफाई द रिटर्न्स दैट यू गेट फ्रॉम द बिजनेस. सो एवरी टाइम यू लुकिंग एट एन अपॉर्चुनिटी, आप वे कीजिए कितना लोन ले सकते हैं उसमें और कितना रिटर्न आपको बिजनेस देगा to manage that. And then obviously is your time involvement, because every business that we look and we want to be involved ourselves would give you higher efficiencies. Why franchising was ever done, ever, not companies like McDonald's, Subways, KFCs, Coca-Cola didn't have money to expand the business, but they wanted an owner who could, work and bring better efficiencies at that unit level. And that required time in day-to-day operations and running of the business. And that's the reason about 90% plus franchise businesses require your time involvement, while there can be businesses which does not require time, सिर्फ शायद आपका पैसा चाहिए, पैसा लगा सकते हैं, बट इन सब बिजनेसेस में टिपिकल आपका इन्वेस्टमेंट बड़ा होता है, बिकॉज छोटे बिजनेस में हम बोलूं कि हम 10-15 लाख का एक चाय का शॉप खोलते हैं, कंपनी ऑपरेट करेगी और आपको एक फिक्स्ड रिटर्न आपको देगी, वो पॉसिबल नहीं है, राइट? बिकॉज जो भी बिजनेस का रिटर्न आता है दैट इज स्प्लिट बिटवीन द टू. सो इफ द बिजनेस इज बिग, वॉल्यूम उसका बड़ा है, देन द कंपनी कैन ऑल्सो कम एंड ऑपरेट दैट बिजनेस. या कॉम्प्लेक्स है बिजनेस, राइट? इट इज कॉम्प्लेक्स फॉर अ फ्रेंचाइजी टू ऑपरेट, लाइक लॉट ऑफ I would say hospitals, some super specialty hospitals only wanted to make the investment in the business, and they take care of 5-star hotels mein aap invest karte ho, but sari day to day operations are taken care by the company. Even retail businesses like Croma, Tata Croma hai, aap invest karte hain, but because 8,000, 10,000, 12,000 square feet ka format hai, multiple SKUs are there in the business, so company takes care of the entire operations and they give you a revenue share. So depending on what investment you want to make and what time you have, we can advise you on businesses that can be relevant in your market. And lastly is your fallback plan. You should always have a fallback plan, and because every business has a gestation, at least 3 से 6 महीने का gestation होता है आपको उस level पे आने के लिए. So एक fallback plan of maybe another business that you have, or currently whatever you're doing, you should always have that in mind. Second is, how do we assess the industry now? It looks like, and this is one question which comes to me very often, आप कौन सी industry में invest करेंगे, कौन सी industry अच्छी है? Now I would even put that question back to you and ask you, what are we consuming today? Are we consuming education? Yes, we are. Are we consuming retail? Yes, we are. Are we consuming services in salons, gyms, laundry chains? We are. So which means everything, where we have a big consumption, that industry is growing. So industry ऐसा कोई नहीं कि बैठने वाली है, नहीं काम करने वाली. हाँ, there can be underlying factors, what can make that particular brand, interesting, right? So उसमें बहुत सारी चीजें जो हमें देखनी चाहिए. One, you need to look at how big that industry is, क्या players हैं उसमें, if that industry is new, या opportunity आपकी नहीं है, can I as a brand franchisee have the first mover advantage? I'm doing a company called the New Shop. This is again, and convenience retail is going to be very big in India. Next 4 to 5 years, at least 8 to 10,000 retail outlets in this category would start coming out, right? So, and this is one opportunity. If I look at India, we do have international players, 7-Eleven, 24/7. में है, but India में कोई भी एक बड़ा player नहीं है. The New Shop is one, such company. They already are operating in 90 locations, and they've now come into franchising. Well capitalized company, and we have started, and we have been given a mandate to expand. And you will not believe, it's just about 10 days, and yesterday we launched the brand, but we are working with them for the last 15 odd days on understanding and launching the model. And by the time I launched yesterday, I already had 8 people who had taken the franchisee already. So a lot of people want to be that first mover in the city to bring maybe the right locations, right opportunity. So understand how big the opportunity size is, and आने वाले time में how future fit it is, right? So आने वाले time में चलने वाली है, नहीं चलने वाली. So growth prospect देखना बहुत जरूरी है, because every time I make an investment in the business, I need to look at a horizon of years. महीने के हिसाब से नहीं देखना है कि 1 महीने में क्या करेंगे, 6 महीने में क्या करेंगे. अगर लगता है आने वाले 5 साल में, 10 साल में, 15 साल में लोग ये सारी चीजें कंज्यूम करने वाले हैं, तो वो अपॉर्चुनिटी राइट है हमें कंसिडर करने के लिए. थर्ड, लाइक आई मेंशन, डिमांड क्या है, सप्लाई गैप के बाद बहुत बड़ा होता है. व्हेन आई से सप्लाई गैप डज नॉट मीन कि बहुत सारे ब्रांड्स ऑलरेडी सैलून के हैं. हो सकता है सप्लाई गैप आपका प्राइसिंग में हो सकता है सप्लाई गैप आपका क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस में हो. इट कैन बी एनीथिंग, राइट? इट कैन बी अ सर्विस और अ सॉल्यूशन दैट यू वांट टू ब्रिंग इन. टेक्नोलॉजी कैन आल्सो बी अ सप्लाई गैप. बहुत सारी कंपनीज कर रही हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल द न्यू शॉप, एंड वी लुक एट लॉट ऑफ कन्वीनियंस रिटेल स्टोर्स आसपास चलते हैं, बट बिकॉज दिस इज अ टेक एनेबल्ड कंपनी, तो उनके पास डेटा है कि इस लोकेशन पे क्या कंज्यूम हो रहा है. आउट ऑफ देयर मे बी 10 कैटेगरीज, दे वुड नो कि ये वाली कैटेगरी सबसे हाईएस्ट सेल है, हाईएस्ट डिमांड है, तो आप ये वाला कैटेगरी का सामान आप ज्यादा रखो. So all that is something which tech companies today are bringing in, and helps you even optimize the inventory. That's very important. And then we come to market, because not every market might be ready to receive that opportunity. So what we need to look at is couple of things. One, agar business naya hai to kis stage pe hai, at what stage the business is. One is understanding the stage of the business incubation stage पे है, is it at a growth stage, is it at a stage where they are now penetrating, creating big clusters across different geographies. So stage of the business को understand करना बहुत जरूरी है. Second is even the industry. अगर कोई industry नहीं है, when I say industry is new, like electric vehicle हो गया, this is a new industry, and the receptiveness of this industry in various regions is different. The way maybe people are receiving and accepting and adopting EV, maybe in a city like Delhi or Hyderabad, would be very different to some other states, right? So how the industry is moving, so ये parameters बहुत जरूरी हैं समझने के लिए. And apart from that, obviously you must understand regulations क्या कहती हैं आपके शहर अगर आप business लेके आते हैं, because regulations चाहे आपका drug license है, EV का license है, liquor license है, इन सब की policies state subject है और center subject है. So for example, even for that matter, new shop, internationally आप देखोगे लिकर भी रखा जाता है वहां पे, बट हिंदुस्तान में आप हर डिपार्टमेंटल स्टोर पे आप नहीं रख सकते हो. सो देयर आर सम नॉर्म्स, जैसे गोवा में हम रख सकते हैं, साइज ऑफ द स्टोर कितना बड़ा होना चाहिए वो मैटर करता है. सो अंडरस्टैंड दीज पॉलिसीज व्हेन यू गेट इनटू अ बिजनेस. एंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज द लोकेशन ऑफ द बिजनेस. वन रूल दैट वी रिकमेंड एवरी पर्सन टू कंसिडर, बिकॉज कई बार बड़ा कंफ्यूजन होता है लोकेशन कौन सी अच्छी है, कहाँ खोलना चाहिए, हाई रेंटल पे खोलना चाहिए, कम रेंट पे खोलना चाहिए, महंगा है, सस्ता है. So all those complexities come in. So location का one thumb rule that I have seen has worked very well, and maybe 99% ये गलत कभी नहीं होता है. So जो भी ब्रांड आप ले रहे हो उसका नियरेस्ट कंपटीशन आप देखो, चाहे वो आइसक्रीम कंपनी है, कन्वीनियंस रिटेल है, सैलून चेन है, जो भी कैटेगरी आप देख रहे हैं, उसके नियरेस्ट आपके शहर के 2-3 कंपटीशन आप देखो या नेशनल लेवल पे जो आपके लोकेशन पे चल रहे हैं, आपके शहर में चल रहे हैं, उनके स्पॉट्स आप आइडेंटिफाई करो कि अगर मेरा मे बी गुड़गांव है, गुड़गांव में कितनी लोकेशंस पे ये पर्टिकुलर अपॉर्चुनिटी चल रही है या ये ब्रांड चल रहा है, और किन लोकेशंस पे इनकी सेल सबसे ज्यादा अच्छी है. सो व्हेन यू लुक एट दैट डायनामिक्स, फॉर यू टू सिलेक्ट अ लोकेशन और नैरो डाउन ऑन अ लोकेशन बिकम्स वेरी वेरी इजी. Then coming to the competition, which is peer-to-peer assessment, because we never recommend कि एक brand देखा उस पे हमने sign up कर दिया. That reminds me, I was speaking to somebody 2 days back, and this gentleman called me up. He said, उनके पास कोई location थी, for a convenience store, and he said, some broker, just called me up, कोई franchisee बेच रहे थे, and he told me about some brand which I myself had never heard. So he just called us, कहता मेरे को लेना चाहिए नहीं लेना चाहिए. I said never heard of this company. मैंने कहा आप ही अपना ड्यू डिलिजेंस कर लीजिए, अगर आपको लगता है कंपनी लेनी चाहिए आप लीजिए. Then he told me, कहता मुझे भी कोई कंपनी की इन्फॉर्मेशन मिली नहीं. But today a lot of people are there, guys, and this is something which I also want to warn everyone. A lot of people want to sell something just to make छोटा मोटा पैसा बनाने के लिए. But look at the company, जो भी ब्रांड में आप इन्वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं, इररिस्पेक्टिव वो कंपनी का एक आउटलेट है, 50 आउटलेट है, 100 आउटलेट है, आप प्रमोटर को, ओनर को, लीडरशिप टीम को कैसे आउटलेट चल रहे हैं, क्या फ्रेंचाइजीज चल रहे हैं, वो जरूरी है देखना. And do that, comparative also, how transparent these companies are in sharing that information with you, right? Because ultimately, your success of relationship depends on how comfortable the two partners are with each other. So when you do peer-to-peer competition, look at the people who are behind, look at the advantage that you're getting in maybe one company versus the other, maybe the penetration of the brand, how that particular brand is performing in the market. Is there a barrier to entry? Barrier to entry का मतलब है कोई टेक्नोलॉजी ऐसी है जो उसके पास है दूसरे के पास नहीं है, कोई ऐसे लाइसेंसेस हैं, पेटेंट्स हैं जो उसके पास हैं दूसरे के पास नहीं है. It could also be location advantage. Maybe I have got the best location. We worked with a company called the Man Company. जब उन्होंने franchising शुरू किया था last year, we were able to bring in a lot of partners right in the very first month, second month, because they had an advantage over the locations which many of the players in that segment did not have. So the moment I had an inquiry, they already had a location in a mall or somewhere, they were able to give. So ये सब चीजें देखना बहुत जरूरी है. Then absolutely, what is the offering and how differentiated the product is. Sometimes every product looks similar, but 2 या 3 चीजें जो आपको लगता है भाई ये brand is different to the other, and maybe have a value proposition which can be presented to the end consumer. And lastly is, how do I assess the brand itself? And one thing which I like to say, because every brand, every industry, like I said, would have their own dynamics. But if you have to look at a brand, you should even ask the company if they're running a franchisees, उनके franchisees system में कितना time average रहते हैं. There might be 5 साल का agreement है, but how many people are actually completing those 5 years? कितने लोग renew करते हैं? Natural attrition ठीक है, आपका 20%, 25% का अगर churn है, which is okay, but it is beyond, then it's a alert or a red flag. And sometimes you will even find a lot of people even taking a multi-unit franchise. एक partner है, वो एक outlet खोलता है, पर उसके दूसरा, तीसरा, चौथा, पांचवा, 6-7 outlet भी same brand के खोलते हैं. I've seen this phenomena in many companies. Chicago Pizza करके एक brand है, उनके मल्टीपल पार्टनर्स हैं. वी वर्क विद यूरोकिड्स, दे हैव वन फ्रेंचाइजी who own 5, 10, 15 multiple locations in the same region city, and that gives a lot of credibility to the company. Support structure क्या है, because कोई भी आदमी एक से ज्यादा अगर यूनिट इन्वेस्ट करता है तो कहीं ना कहीं ब्रांड की क्रेडिबिलिटी, ट्रस्ट, सपोर्ट ऑल इज रिफ्लेक्टेड एंड वैलिडेट होता है. So you need to look at obviously how their, आपका total investment, like I mentioned, and I've realized everyone who comes to us, and that's how they even go out and shop brands, कि ऐसा कोई business बताइए इसका ROI अच्छा है और हमारा return हमारा अच्छा हो, over a period of time, any industry. And इनिशियल इन्वेस्टमेंट देखते हैं, इन्वेस्टमेंट के बाद ऑपरेटिंग पे नहीं जाते, कि ऑपरेटिंग मेरा स्ट्रक्चर क्या होगा, व्हाट इज द ऑपरेटिंग कॉस्ट आई वुड हैव इन द बिजनेस. दे ओनली नेगोशिएट कि रॉयल्टी कम करा दीजिए, मार्जिन इंप्रूव करा दीजिए, थोड़ा बहुत इन्वेस्टमेंट मैं खुद कर लूंगा तो मेरा कम पड़ जाएगा. बट आई हैव नॉट सीन समटाइम्स पीपल bypass many important things when they discuss with the brand. Look at the people, their commitment to the brand, how their existing outlets are performing, their support to the franchise partners. Speak to some of these franchise partners, understand कि आपका ऑपरेटिंग खर्चा कितना है. That's very very important. ये समझना जरूरी है कि मेरी री इन्वेस्टमेंट कितनी है बिजनेस में. री इन्वेस्टमेंट स्टॉक में भी हो सकती है, मे बी आई नीड अ इन्वेस्टमेंट टू बी डन इन द स्टॉक, तो कितना मुझे स्टॉक में इन्वेस्टमेंट करना है, वर्किंग कैपिटल की रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है. अगर आपका लॉन्ग टर्म कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, समटाइम्स कंपनीज हैव अ 10 ईयर 15 ईयर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, तो आपका 5 साल बाद थोड़ा बहुत इंटीरियर पे काम करना रहता है, तो उसकी क्या गाइडलाइंस है वो समझना जरूरी है कंपनी के साथ. When it comes to ROI and margins, because this is something which is very very subjective. ऐसा कोई रूल नहीं है कि ROI सबकी एक ही परसेंटेज होती है, एनुअलाइज रिटर्न इतने होते हैं, हर का रिटर्न आपका 1-2 साल में आ जाना चाहिए, या सब कंपनी के सब बिजनेस के एक ही तरीके के मार्जिन हैं. ऑल दिस इज वेरी सब्जेक्टिव टू योर मार्केट्स. कितना बड़ा होराइजन है उस अपॉर्चुनिटी का, एंड हमेशा एप्पल टू एप्पल कंपैरिजन करना चाहिए whenever we look at margins, because even in the same industries, I would say your margins category to category are very different, right? So if you want to do that apple to apple, same category में ही आप करें margins. And a lot of company जो integrated operator होते हैं, खुद की manufacturing है. I'll give you a brand like company like Prime Fresh, ये listed company है Bombay stock पे. They are big exporters also. Now they have their distribution centers in many states in India. अब वो अपने physical stores खोलना चाहते हैं. छोटी investment है, आपका 7-8 लाख का investment है, बाकी आपका inventory आप डालते हैं. बट ये इंटीग्रेटेड ऑपरेटर है, जो मार्जिन ये दे रहे हैं वो बाकी सारे ग्रोसरी या फ्रेश वेजिटेबल वाली कंपनियां जो अपने आउटलेट्स खोल रही है वो मार्जिन दे ही नहीं पा रहे, बिकॉज दे हैव इंटीग्रेटेड, दे आर पासिंग द डायरेक्ट मार्जिन्स टू देयर पार्टनर. सो इफ द कंपनी इज इंटीग्रेटेड, हमेशा उनके मार्जिन्स बेटर होंगे, राइट. देन ऑब्वियसली योर लीगल एग्रीमेंट स्ट्रक्चर क्या है, बिकॉज हिंदुस्तान में कोई लॉ नहीं है फ्रेंचाइजिंग के ऊपर. एनीथिंग व्हिच बिकम्स अ पार्ट ऑफ द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बिकम्स अ बाइंडिंग बिटवीन द पार्टीज. सो व्हाट योर गाइडलाइंस आर, आपका वाटर टाइट एग्रीमेंट होना चाहिए. इवन आवर टीम्स एट फ्रेंचाइजिंग दे वर्क विद यू अगर आप वो वेट कराना चाहते हैं एग्रीमेंट. एंड एक और चीज जो मैं फोकस करूंगी, रिस्क हेजिंग के ऊपर. नाउ व्हाई यू वांट टू टेक अ फ्रेंचाइज बिजनेस, बिकॉज आपका कहीं ना कहीं रिस्क आपका कम होता है, ट्राइड है बिजनेस, टेस्टेड है, आपको डेटा इंटेलिजेंस है, व्हाट वर्क्स वेयर. बट स्टिल कंपनीज आल्सो गिव यू a lot of hedging of the risk which is involved, which could be, I would say, maybe you are working with a product company, यहाँ पे product बहुत ज़्यादा आपने खरीद लिया है, so company की policy क्या है उसको liquidate करने की. Do they buy back stock? Do they have any policy of correction of that stock? So all that is something that you must discuss with them before you get into an agreement with them. So what we work with you, friends, I'll take you on the next slide. So what is the process that we follow at Franchise India? You can do all that at your level, while we also work with you closely. So when I say we work with you closely, any information, education, information, exhibitions, आप सब आ सकते हैं. But if you want our time to be involved, this is the process that we follow. And there's also I'll explain. It starts with first stage information where we understand what you need. आपका profile क्या है, किस location पे आप खोलना चाहते हैं, what investment you want to do, anybody in the family who wants to be part of the business. So all that we consider, and based on that हम क्या करते हैं, एक 4 प्रोफाइलिंग करते हैं बेस्ड ऑन द 4 फिटमेंट्स. यू सी SOMA फिट, तो आपका अगर लोकेशन है, S stands for strategic fit, which means maybe your own profile, education, interest. Then it is O, operational fit. Operational fit would mean that your time to be given in the business, कितने घंटे आप एक दिन में आप लगा सकते हैं. And then is obviously your market fit, आपके market के हिसाब से कौन सी opportunities relevant है. Then financial fit, जो आपका investment appetite, working capital को consider करते हुए our teams maybe shortlist 10-15 opportunities जो इन चारों फिटमेंट में सबसे ऊपर आती है. ये हमारे प्राइमरी फिट्स हैं. बट अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस वी ऑल्सो कंसिडर सेकेंडरी फिट, जिसमें आपकी मेच्योरिटी ऑफ हैंडलिंग द बिजनेस, आपका ओवरऑल ऑब्जेक्टिविटी, लाइक आई सेड योर लाइफ गोल्स, बिजनेस गोल्स, वो सबको हम देखते हुए वी क्रिएट मे बी पोर्टफोलियो ऑफ 10-15 कंपनीज दैट वी फील आर क्लोजर टू नैरोइंग डाउन ऑन द इंटरेस्ट. So once we do that, then we get your meetings done, tour done. अगर आप आउटलेट विजिट भी करना चाहते हैं, बैठना चाहते हैं किसी आउटलेट के ऊपर, समझना चाहते हैं डे टू डे ऑपरेशंस, meeting with the franchise partners and meeting directly with the decision makers is something that our team start doing after your shortlisting of initial brands is done. Finally is your assistance, जहाँ पे आपका agreement है, LOI है, जहाँ पे हम आपके साथ काम करते हैं. These are 4 stages where our teams work with you, and this is not done centralized. हमारा सारा का सारा system decentralized है, which means you will have maybe your regional teams who would work with you, जो आपकी प्रॉपर्टी समझती हैं, लोकेशन समझती हैं, आपका शहर समझती है, कौन से ब्रांड्स वहाँ पे आसपास हैं वो समझती हैं, वो टीम्स आपके साथ काम करती हैं. So next slide please. So it takes obviously a very important decision of your lifetime, and it is not something which I would recommend कि 3 brands अच्छे हैं आप ले लीजिए. It requires a thought process, evaluation आप करेंगे, मिलेंगे, कंपनियां क्या है, bring in your inner circle. So all that is something that we do, wherein these are 10 things, which if you become a subscriber of these services that we do, this is what you get, including your industry selection where teams work with you, evaluation of, your own self, what opportunities are right for you. Discovery days are companies that we bring and shortlist for you. So 10 companies, say like 15 companies is what we bring for you, depending on the SOMF fit that we talked about, and depending on the number of months of membership, that you take. But when I say 10 discovery days, 15 discovery days, it does not mean कि 10 company के बाद हम 11th नहीं दिखाएंगे, 15th के बाद 16th नहीं दिखाएंगे. But this is something minimum that we share with you. And I've seen people कई बार वो 10 तक पहुंचते ही नहीं हैं. They see 5 companies, they meet with them, they deeply, go inside the business dynamics, kya business hai, and they sometimes, finalize even with 5-6 opportunities they go and meet. And then obviously helping you on the legal, agreement, advisory, structuring of the deal में बहुत time लगता है हमारा. And deal structuring does not mean कि आपको margin बताने हैं. Deal structuring का मतलब है what is the best available, for that market is what our teams work very hard. And ये सबसे time consuming होता है. And this happens once principally, both the parties agree कि brand समझ में आते हैं, मेरी market समझ में आते हैं. That's where the deal structuring process actually starts. So this is what we do, friends. So I'll be more than happy to speak to anybody what it takes for you to become a member with Franchise India. And when I say member, why we encourage that? Because at Franchise India, we work with many companies. One. Second, I also work with many investors, and we give a lot of information. So anybody who wants any kind of free information, we actually want to do that because we want to educate everybody who wants to buy a business. आप direct भी खरीदना चाहते हैं, खरीद सकते हैं. My platform gives a lot of knowledge. हमारे webinars हैं जहाँ पे कम से कम 1200-1300 कंपनीज का पूरा बिजनेस मॉडल रिकॉर्डेड है. आप फेसबुक पेज पे जाइए, यूट्यूब चैनल पे जाइए, फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के, हर रोज एक नई कंपनी का मॉडल है. ऑल दैट इज समथिंग वी गिव free of cost. But if you need our time, आप कहते हो भी हैंड होल्ड करिए, put somebody who can actually guide us, that's where this program comes in. And there's a fee of 25,000 and a brokerage that we take once your deal gets through. So this is what we charge. If you're looking at a 6 months membership, 25,000. एक साल का membership है आपका 40,000 होता है. And I also work with sometimes serial entrepreneurs who want to take a master franchisee. So this becomes our basic slab of working. I'm also putting an email ID which you can write to me on, and there's a WhatsApp number 8800493185. So WhatsApp पे भी आप लिख सकते हैं. After this call anybody who wants to set up a meeting, and this is a no obligation meeting. मैं ये नहीं कह रही आप आइए and we would charge something, but अगर आपको लगता है you want to explore and brainstorm, आप please इन सब numbers पे आप WhatsApp कर सकते हैं along with your city, and one of my team members will come speak with you, fix up a time. You're more than welcome to even come to our offices. We are there in 90 cities. My teams, my offices would be more than happy to extend that for you. And also, friends, there's a webinar which is happening very shortly. Saras, do we have a link of that webinar? And I would recommend anybody who wants to do. I saw one of our friends, who wanted to do something in the coaching line. And this is a company called Head and Heart, and they were in the Shark Tank also recently. In fact, they're coming and coming explaining their business model of how you can partner with them. And Saras, are you able to access the link?
Yes, ma'am. Sharing on the chat box, please. Yes.
Okay, so guys, you can check on the chat box. 12 o'clock की webinar है, हम शुरू कर रहे हैं. If you want to attend this webinar, आप copy paste कर लीजिए इसको. And this is the company that we are bringing to you today, and they would be there for 1 hour presenting the business model. And tomorrow also we have very interesting opportunity. There's a company called ABIN Beverages. ये सारा जैसे Royal Challenge है, and पूरा soda का manufacturing, पाने का manufacturing. There are 5 brands this company has license rights for. They already have 55 odd franchise partners operating across India. And the investment can start as low as 5-6 lakhs. Manufacturing, because you're allowed to even outsource the manufacturing. अगर आपके पास अपना manufacturing unit है, उसको आप लेना चाहते हैं, उसको convert करना चाहते हैं, वो opportunity भी है आपके पास. पर आपको लगता है भी हमने unit नहीं खोला, because unit खोलने में आपके 2-3 करोड़ का investment आता है. अगर आप वो आउटसोर्स भी कंपनी अलाउ करती है. सो ये अपॉर्चुनिटी कल के लिए, एनीबडी हु वांट्स टू कम ऑन दिस वेबिनार आल्सो, गाइस, यू मोर देन वेलकम टू डू दैट. And you get all the details of the webinar on our Facebook page of Franchise India Brands. आप जाएंगे तो सारे webinar की details आपको मिल जाएंगी. In case you don't get, आप हमें WhatsApp कर सकते हैं. We'll send it across to you. So I'll see. I saw some questions coming in. So friends, I'll request if you can reach out to us. Dr. Shrikantji, absolutely, we'll help you connect with the local team. Retail launched aggressively but suddenly vanished. Ajitabji, I don't understand what brand is this. Icha Pirti. And that's a good question. How you identify the right company? That's what I talked about. But we're more than happy to work with you, even identify. Like I mentioned, कुछ दिन पहले मेरे पास call आया था. This investor told me about some brand. I didn't give a good feedback on that because one, I didn't know. Then he said कि हाँ मैंने भी ढूंढा था यूपी में कहीं किसी remote location पे उनका head office दिख रहा है, but उनके outlets चलते नहीं है. So it is very important that we do our own due diligence. We can equip you with the information that you must ask the company, but थोड़ा बहुत अपना time भी निकालना पड़ेगा आपको उसमें करने के लिए. So guys, this is what we wanted to present today. I wish you all the best. We have shared our details. Our website is franchiseindia.com. Anyone who wants to even go and see the companies listed on the website, you can do that. Having said that, we might not have all opportunities on the website. बहुत सारे options ऐसे भी होते हैं जो website पे listed नहीं है, but our teams can share with you and discuss with you one-to-one. So thank you, friends, for being with us today. Have a great day ahead and a great week.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.